847 Marines trapped in a valley surrounded by enemy fire. The clock's ticking and hope is running out. But one woman, a female Apache pilot, defies all odds to clear their escape with fire. Can she pull off the impossible? The sun barely peeks over the horizon, casting an orange glow on the jagged Afghan mountains. Sarah Mitchell's hands rest lightly on the controls of her Apache helicopter. The low hum of the engines a constant companion as she surveys the rocky terrain below. Another patrol, another routine mission. But routine has a way of unraveling in war. And just as she begins to settle into the rhythm of the flight, the radio crackles to life. Viper 17. This is Groundhog Actual. We have 847 Marines pinned down at Grid 42 SMB. Heavy enemy contact. Request immediate air support. Major Bradley's voice rings through the static, strained with desperation. Her stomach tightens. 847 Marines trapped. Copy that, Groundhog. What's your status? Sarah responds, trying to maintain calm as she banks the Apache toward the coordinates. Her co-pilot, Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez, punches in the location on their digital map. We're pinned in a valley. The enemy's got us surrounded on 3 sides. We need that pass cleared or we're dead. Her mind races. The canyon pass, the only way out, is covered by machine gun nests and RPGs. The enemy knows the terrain better than anyone. This wasn't just an ambush. It was a death trap. Roger that, Sarah mutters, already assessing her weapon systems. Jake, contact base and request additional air support. We'll need everything we can get. The Apache lurches into a sharp dive, skimming the rugged landscape. The situation is worse than she imagined. The valley floor is alive with movement, as Marines take cover behind rocks and burnt-out vehicles. The sound of gunfire fills the air, crackling through the radio. Sarah's hands are steady, but her heart pounds in her chest. Viper 17 eyes on the target. Multiple enemy positions on the ridgelines. We can't break through unless we clear the pass, she reports, studying the valley below. She could see the narrow passage to the south, the only viable escape route, but the enemy is entrenched, waiting for any attempt to break free. Got it, Sarah replies, eyes narrowing. Let's clear a path. But as she prepares to strike, she spots something more dangerous, an anti-aircraft position hidden on the eastern ridge. She sees the telltale flash of metal, anti-aircraft guns. If they open fire, her Apache will be toast. Jake, mark the targets, she orders, adjusting her approach. The danger ahead intensifies and Sarah's stomach flips. They're running out of time. The sound of her Apache's engines cuts through the tension in the air. Sarah's gaze flickers between the battlefield below and her targeting system, which now highlights enemy positions like a spider's web, each thread leading to a new deadly challenge. We need to clear that ridge, Jake calls out, pointing to the northern line, where enemy machine guns fire relentlessly. They've got us pinned down. We can't get to them from here without getting torn apart. Then we'll come at them from above, Sarah says, eyes locked onto the landscape as she makes a sharp turn, sending the Apache rocketing toward the ridgeline. The enemy positions are strategically placed, covering each other from every possible angle. But Sarah knows the Apache's advantage. It's all about the element of surprise. With a deep breath, she fires the first Hellfire missile. The rocket streaks through the sky, trailing smoke as it slams into the first machine gun nest. A flash of orange and debris erupts, sending pieces of the nest flying into the air. Good hit, Jake calls, but Sarah's eyes stay focused. The job's not done yet. They have more enemies to neutralize before the Marines can even think about moving. Just as Sarah starts her next strike, a sudden realization freezes her. The enemy has repositioned, new gunfire tearing into the valley. A high-pitched shriek fills the air as tracer rounds whiz past their helicopter. They've got anti-aircraft weapons, Sarah mutters under her breath, pulling the Apache into a spiraling dive. Jake's voice shakes. Sarah, we've got to get out of here. We're too exposed. But there's no time for retreat. There's only one thing she can do. Keep moving. Keep fighting. She snaps the Apache upward, pulling out of the dive just in time to avoid a deadly burst of fire. The mountains below her blur as she zigzags through the air, using the terrain to mask their movements. Another Hellfire missile is deployed, and the second anti-aircraft gun erupts in a fiery explosion. But the danger isn't over yet. Sarah's grip tightens on the controls as she pulls the Apache into a steep climb. Her fuel gauge blinks ominously, and the warning lights flash. You're right, Jake, we're running out of time, Sarah acknowledges, her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest. But we're not leaving these Marines. Not yet. The mission is no longer just about strategy. It's personal. 847 Marines, their lives resting in her hands. The pressure weighs down on her chest as she maneuvers the helicopter, dodging bursts of enemy fire from hidden positions. Jake's voice crackles through the headset. "Sarah, we've got no more Hellfires left. We're down to the cannon." She doesn't answer at first. The landscape ahead is like a maze of rock and dust. The enemy is everywhere. More hidden positions have opened fire, their gunshots ringing out from caves and bunkers in the mountainside. "I'll make it work," Sarah says, and with that she begins a high-speed run toward the western ridge, where the latest wave of gunfire is coming from. Her heart beats louder than the Apache's engines. The 30mm cannon opens up, sending shells screaming into the mountainside. A cloud of debris erupts, but it's not enough. The enemies are dug in too deep. She needs to get closer. But Sarah's not the only one with a strategy. As she dives toward the ridge, the sky is filled with the sound of approaching jets, F-16s. The cavalry is here, but the job isn't done yet. The tension in the cockpit is palpable. Sarah's Apache shudders as the gunfire below intensifies. The F-16s have made their pass, dropping bombs with deadly precision. But the enemy is resilient. The caves, the bunkers, nothing is easy in this war. "We've got a new problem," Jake says, his voice tight with urgency. "I'm tracking movement near the casualty point. It's coming from the western ridge." Sarah's eyes narrow. The western ridge had been quiet until now. The Marines are pushing forward, their assault on the pass gaining ground, but the last thing they need right now is more fire raining down on them. Sarah can see the problem before Jake even finishes. "Machine guns," she mutters under her breath. "They've got new positions and they're hitting the wounded." She pulls the Apache into a sharp turn, adjusting her course. "Jake, mark all 4 positions. I'm going to clear them now." The air around them seems to pulse with the sound of incoming fire. The western ridge is coming alive with enemy fighters, and Sarah's gut churns as she watches the tracer rounds streak past them. "Every second counts. Sarah, we're at 10 minutes of fuel left. If we don't clear those positions soon, we'll lose them," Jake warns, the urgency in his voice growing. Sarah's mind races. 10 minutes. That's all she has left. The situation is grim. She can't afford to make mistakes. One wrong move and she could be grounded, leaving the Marines to face certain death. But the enemy on the western ridge is well armed, entrenched. She needs to think of something fast. A glint of sunlight catches her eye, a loose rock outcropping. Her mind starts to work at a dangerous speed. Could it work? "Jake, we're going high. I need to hit that ridge from above." Jake looks at her, his expression a mix of disbelief and fear. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about gravity," Sarah says, her voice grim. She climbs the Apache to maximum altitude, as high as she can go on the last fumes of fuel. From here she can see it, a jagged ridge littered with loose rocks, a landslide. If she can set it off? "Hold on," she mutters. She targets the outcropping and fires the last of her 30mm cannon. The rounds smash into the rocks and she watches as the first crack appears. It's a long shot, literally. But the gamble pays off. The outcropping shatters and a cascade of rocks begins tumbling down toward the ridge. The enemy fighters below have nowhere to run. In a matter of seconds, the entire ridge collapses under the weight of the avalanche, burying the machine gun positions. Sarah breathes a sigh of relief, but there's no time to rest. She pulls the Apache away from the crumbling ridge, already planning her next move. The Marines need her to keep going. Sarah's Apache is a machine running on borrowed time. The fuel gauge is empty, the engines sputter, but she keeps her hands steady, eyes locked on the ground below. The Marines are advancing toward the canyon pass, but the enemy is regrouping. They've been stunned by the avalanche, but now they're rallying for a final defense. "You've bought them some time, Sarah," Jake says, his voice tense. "But they're moving faster than we can keep up." "I know," Sarah replies, her mind already calculating the odds. The Marines are making their final push, but with the western ridge neutralized, there are still remnants of enemy resistance scattered throughout the valley. She eyes the canyon pass. It's the Marines' only way out, but it's still heavily defended. The remaining enemy fighters are dug in, their machine guns opening up sporadically as the Marines advance. "Jake, we need to clear that pass," Sarah says, her voice firm. "This is it." They're down to nothing. No missiles, no bombs. Just the Apache's cannon and Sarah's determination.